Hi, I'm Jay Haynes for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. Today in this video, we're going to talk about Mike Miller's video on the official HitFilm YouTube channel on how to do this sand disintegration effect. So the first thing that you'll want to do is you will want to actually watch the video. Okay. Now, Mike, it's a fantastic video, but he really talks fast. In fact, a lot of the video, he actually speaks so fast that it's actually, I think, been sped up so that it can be under that 15-minute mark. Okay. So one of my suggestions to you would be to watch this video by clicking here on this icon and then changing the speed from normal to 0.75. That will help you follow that much easier, okay? Then you probably want to take a break, let your brain sort of recover, okay? And then what you'll do is you will open up the description here and download this project file right here. Then we'll open it up in HitFilm. After we've opened it up in HitFilm, you'll notice that there are several composite shots that are in this whole folder. Everything is neatly organized, right? We have planes, we have the audio and video. You open up, you'll see this notes composite shot. And what you want to do is read this, study it, memorize it, and then you can go ahead and delete it because we won't need it in what we're going to do here. Then the clean plate and the intro, this is Javert, and the intro, we're going to delete him. We won't need him. And the clean plate is Javert's living room and couch. We won't need that, so it's out of here. Okay. Then what we're going to do is, in the dissolve composite, we're going to get rid of the master point, and we're going to get rid of everything underneath the camera. So now all we have left is the new light and the particle simulator. Okay. And then I'm going to drag the particle simulator back so that it's sitting right there, and you will see that it is spouting out of nothing now. I'm going to open this up, and under emitters, there's a front emitter and a back emitter. I'm going to open this up. You'll notice that there is no source layer anymore. There used to be, but I deleted it, right? We will add our own source layer when the time is right. Okay, the trajectory. See, all the numbers are already in here, so you don't have to build this yourself. We want it to be active all the time, so I'm just going to uncheck the keyframe on that. And then when we go into the particle systems, under general, we want to go ahead and uncheck the particle per second, all right? And I'm going to take this down to a super low number, like 300. It's going to end up being 30,000 when we're done, okay? But for now, we're just going to make it 300, okay? Under appearance, I want to change the color source to the current color, which is the current color of the source that we are going to reference under shape here, this source layer, okay? And then basically, we're going to do, and you can look and see how all the numbers are shaken out here in terms of the movement and the movement variations and things like that, just so you get an idea of how it was built. It's really brilliantly built, okay? Then we're going to go through to the back, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to sort of make sure that everything here has been, in general, just sort of reset to those numbers. Notice that the seed number is different here, right? Let me see, appearance, we're going to go current color, and everything else is good, okay? Last but not least, we want to open up deflectors, and you can see we have a kill right, a kill bottom, and Javert's couch. Since Javert's couch is not here, we're going to go ahead and delete that. If you want to keep the kill bottom and kill right, you sure can, but if it was me making a template, I would just go ahead and delete all the deflectors, and that way you have a clean situation where all you have to do is just add your own stuff in when the time comes. You'll notice that there's gravity and there's turbulence. We'll leave all that in there. But again, you can kind of change that as you need to, as necessary. So now we basically have a generic sort of sand flying effect, okay? And what I would do at this point is I would go ahead and save this composite shot, this 400 dissolve composite shot. So if I go in here and I find the 400 dissolve composite shot, which is right here, that's this. Oh, and by the way, it is 24 frames per second. So if you want it to be something different, you would want to change the properties of it. And in my case, I absolutely do, because I always use 2997. So I would change that. And then you just right click on this and say save as. And I would just save this as a generic, dissolve composite. And I just put it in the Mike Miller's Awesome Particle Sand Dissolve Effect folder and save it, okay? Now, you might come over here to the burn composite and do the same thing. So you'd get rid of the master point. You'd go ahead and get rid of all that stuff. Back up this thing here. Okay, in this particular case, you will see that it has, if you open it up, 3 emitters. It has a front, a back, and a smoke emitter. Okay. And so you would want to, kind of remove all of that stuff and then go from there. Okay. So after you have done that and you have saved these, now these are sort of your generic template that you can use to create your own sand effect. So then I went ahead and filmed myself against a green screen, and then I keyed it out and I created a transparent AVI with the alpha, right? And there I am talking, right? And then I also took a picture of my background. So all I need to do now is bring in my template. So I'm going to go under Import and Composite Shot. Looking under the Mike Miller's Awesome Particle Sand Dissolve Effect, I will find my Dissolve Composite Shot and bring it on in, and it brings it in, and there are the assets that I will need in my template, okay? So this transparent AVI, I'm just going to right-click on it and say, make it into a composite shot, click OK, and there I am, and I'm happy to tell you that I already know when this is going to happen. At 4:15 is when the actual wipe and dissolve will happen, okay? That's the place, all right? So nothing happens until that point in the video, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these items here, and I'm just going to hit Control C or Command C on a Mac, but on my PC it's Control C and then Control V and paste it in here. So at this point, that's when that effect will begin, okay? Now, the transparent AVI, I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to say, make it into its own composite shot. And I'm going to call this the J wipe, okay? Because I'm going to set my wipe to happen here, okay? So at the 4:15 mark, or 14:15 mark, I am going to set up a mask that is basically just going to wipe. And I'm going to do this very roughly for this particular demonstration here, or for this today. Oh, I see what I did here. Let me make one more, like that. Okay, so there is where we're going to end up wiping, right? And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll say, under transform path, I'll keyframe the path, and I'll move forward about 4 seconds because I want the sand to happen, or disintegration to happen over 4 seconds. And then I'm just going to draw this down. Now, if I was doing this for, a real project, I would obviously spend a lot more time on this and really make it look cool. I might have extra keyframes inside of here, and really make it, exactly what I want. But basically that'll do. Okay. All right. And, I may round that a little bit if I open up the shape and just say roundness, so that it's not square blocky, but the wipe itself will be covered by all the sand particles. So there is the wipe. Okay. So if you go back to the original, then what you're going to find is that I am disappearing like that across the screen, right? Okay. So now the J wipe, composite shot, I'm going to right click on that and duplicate it, and I'm going to call this the matte edge, because this is where we're going to create the edge of the matte that is going to become the source for the particles themselves, okay? So if I double click on that, Now, Mike did this differently than what I'm going to. I'm going to do it in a very simple way. What Mike did, though, was he created nested composite shots, and then he slid one over, and he used a difference key to sort of create an edge mat. What I'm going to do is just cheat, which is what I always do. I'm going to duplicate the mask here, and then I'm going to change the duplicate to be subtract. So basically, everything within the mask is now subtracted from itself, right? But if I were to open up the shape and just draw the expansion back a little bit, then I will have an edge mat that, will be good enough for what I want to do here, okay? So you kind of get the idea of how that would be a nice source to have those particles jump out of. And this is it. It's only going to jump out of this edge mat, and that's the idea. That's when those particles are going to pop out. So now if I go back to my original and I bring in my matte edge, and I can go ahead and hide it because it's not going to be visible. Only the particles jumping out of it are going to be visible. What I would then do is go into my particle simulator under emitters under the front and go ahead and source the matte edge on the front, and it'll take a second for my computer to, go, oh, I got it. Oh, here we are, right? And then I'll do the same on the back. And again, same thing, because I don't have a very super powerful computer. It'll take a little bit of time for it to figure out what I want it to do, right? And then now we have this situation where, and let me bring in my background just so there's something behind it. When I play that, you'll see, actually, let me do this. Let me back up. And I'm going to use a RAM preview here because my computer is going to run so slowly that it's really it just needs to sort of see every frame, right? But what you'll see is that the particles are jumping off of that matte edge, okay? Anywhere that matte edge is. And you'll see that because I changed the color to current, it is using the color of the matte edge. See how it's jumping here now and jumping down here, right? And you go, but I can still see this edge, and there aren't that many particles. So that's because I set it low so that I could easily determine if it's how I want it to look, okay? Because when I set that up high to the point where it's going to be, then guess what? It's going to be way slow. In fact, the intro of this video took an hour to render, just a very simple 20-second intro kind of a thing, right? So now if you look at this, you can see how those particles are jumping off of there, and that is exactly what I want, okay? All right, so now that I've done that and I feel good and I say, okay, this is how I want it to be, then what I will do is I will go into the particle simulator, and instead of opening it up, I'm just going to look for the search term particles per second, right? And then the 300 here, I'm going to crank it up to 30,000. And the 300 on the back, I'm going to also crank up to 30,000. Okay. And now, if I were to run a RAM preview now, what you'll see is that it will take its time, right? It will be real slow, but it'll give me a really good idea of how it's going to end up looking. Every frame that advances forward, though, it's adding a whole bunch more particles, and so every frame is going to become increasingly slower to get to, right? But basically, in a nutshell, this is how you can take the very complicated video that Mike Miller did on the official HitFilm channel and break it down so that it's easier to understand and actually use. And then as you get better at using the template that essentially has been created for you, then you can start playing around with it, adjusting it, play with the burn effect, also the burn composite that was in the project files as well, and mess around with that and get a really good idea. And the next thing you know, you'll be creating your own special sand effects just for your projects, and you'll have learned a whole lot in the process. So if you have any questions or feedback, please drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.